What do you think is the key to long-term success and recognition in the legal field?
I mean, it's doing the good work, right? It's making sure that you are, that you're not the kind of attorney that other attorneys are like, oh, I have a case against those people. Because your reputation in the legal community, it's always gonna, you don't want to throw that away for one client because there's 1,000, clients after that, and you have to always be, ethical, and you always have to make sure that that you're working with the other side. There's no point in, you don't have to agree. You can absolutely disagree with other amazing attorneys, and you can represent your clients to the best of your ability and and not be a jerk.
Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall, where we throw ideas, see what sticks, and nurture those that do. I'm your host, Armando Leduc, an actor, entrepreneur, and coach, giving you insights that light up your world. We're here to explore the realms of business, marketing, and life, serving up a shot of inspiration with every episode. Ready to make ideas stick and grow them into something great? Let's dive in.
Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall. As you can see, I am not Armando Leduc. Armando is out today, so I'm stepping in and subbing for him. My name is Will Brooks. I am the COO and creative director at Leduc Entertainment. It's been a while since I've hosted an episode of Spaghetti on the Wall. The last time I did it, I was a co-host with Armando. But we're gonna have a great episode today. We are joined today by one of Miami's most sought after family law attorneys, Vanessa Vasquez de Lara. Vanessa is the founder and the owner of the Vasquez de Lara Law Group and has dedicated her career to helping families through some of the toughest moments of their lives. She's also the president of the Coral Gables Bar Association, and she's involved in a lot of community-driven initiatives. So we're going to dive into her journey today. We're going to learn how she built such a successful and impactful career and law firm. Can't wait to have this conversation. Vanessa, thank you for coming on the show today. And as I said before we started recording, thanks for being flexible and agreeing to talk with me instead of the great Armando.
No problem.
I want to start at the beginning. I want to find out kind of what inspired you to choose family law as your area of specialty. What was it that drove you to that specialty?
In law school, I used to say I would never do family law and I would never do criminal law. So apparently, I will just not do criminal law. But it's one of those things where, like every young lawyer that doesn't really know what they're going to do with their law degree, I took the first job I got. That was actually doing probate and guardianship. But then my second job was family law. And I kind of surprised myself that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed helping people. I enjoyed being able to help people through that journey of, starting in such a difficult place and then being able to get them to the end of that. So once I started, then it kind of became a passion. And I mean, at this point, I've been doing it 21 years. That's crazy.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's great. So when did you start your own individual practice?
So that's an interesting story. When I had my second son, who's 16 now, I decided to take a little bit of time off. And a little bit of time off turned into like 3 years off. And when I was getting ready to come back, I mean, I had two small kids. I had a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And going back into the law firm world was just kind of daunting, the whole balance and family and everything. And I said, maybe I could just kind of start my own thing. And that's what I did. And it started very small, very organic, sort of the kids were in school part time from like 8 to 12. So then I'd go to an office from like 9 to 11. And we just kind of grew from there. So, that was 13 years ago. And, and today the firm is about 29 people.
Wow,
So from one to, to almost 30.
that's great. So that's great. So
Yeah.
1 to 30, and that was, you said, how many years ago did you say that was? That was
That was 13 years ago.
13 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great growth. So what were in starting your firm, what were some of the challenges you faced in the early stages in getting the firm off the ground and getting it going, and what were some of the
Sure.
strategies you put in place to kind of overcome those challenges?
So I mean, like everybody, getting business is always going to be every solo or small firms, kind of biggest issue. And I did not invent it, but the saying, you either have time or you have money. So at that point, I had the time, and so I joined a BNI, a Business Networking International
Right.
chapter, local to me, And, I got recruited by a couple of attorneys that I didn't know at the time, but that I developed, a great respect and friendship with. And so that worked out perfect because the meetings were right after I was able to drop the kids off in before care. So, so it was something that, I had the time, because BNI is a big investment of time, the weekly
Sure.
meetings, the one-on-ones, et cetera. And, and I quickly realized after I had started doing BNI, that was probably, I know that on Facebook, a memory came up, like from 10 years ago. So that was probably about 11 years ago. And when I started doing that, soon after that, like maybe within a year or so, I kind of started realizing that I needed to figure out where to spend my marketing dollars. And the fact that we were at that time, about 50% of the cases were coming in as referrals, whether from BNI or from other attorneys or, whatnot. And I started thinking about the fact that I needed to really figure out how to start monetizing referrals. You can't, I mean, yes, you could pay referral fees, but otherwise, there's not a good way of sort of like spending money on referrals. So that's when I started sort of planning events for referral partners. And so then that kind of became less time, more money. And we started doing lunch and learns. I
Okay.
started kind of creating my own events as opposed to just attending other people's events. And that became, that was a really fun thing. We did that all the way up until COVID kind of, slowed down events a little bit. But that was kind of what, the biggest challenge was getting bodies in the door. And, and my investment was in the time to meet with people, to, to do a lot of referral events and things like that.
That's awesome. So, what other kind of marketing strategies have you guys put in place beyond the lunch and learn meeting type stuff? Are you guys doing social media? Do you do
We do
commercials at all?
all
Or-
the things, all the
Yeah.
things. We're in all the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. We make a lot of content. So I record videos probably about every 6 to 8 weeks, professionally, because it's just I'm not an actress. I'm not gonna memorize scripts. So
Right.
when I do them professionally, I'm able to have a teleprompter, and that that makes the whole experience, so much better for everybody. So we're recording videos about 6 to 8 every 6 to 8 weeks. And so there's content being put out on our social media, if not daily, every other day.
Are you
Then,
batch creating the content when you guys shoot?
so yes, I mean we put everything everywhere. But yeah, we have a marketing manager and we've got two marketing assistants, and they're putting out, they're creating, they're assisting with the editing and the creation and and putting the material out there. So we definitely have a very strong social media presence. We also do Google local service ads. We do a little bit of PPC. We find that for family law, it's very hit or miss. We do some print. Uh, we dabbled in print a while back. I didn't really see much from it, but we started a new campaign not that long ago where it's kind of like a more extended uh, print marketing push. So
Hmm.
we're kind of doing, other than like radio or TV, we're kind of doing all the things.
That's great. I love it. That's what we do in our business too. So I love to hear people, doing it, using the same method that we do for people that we work with. Batch creating the content in one day. That's definitely the way to do it. So you're not spending every single day. Oh, I got to shoot something. I got to shoot something.
Yep,
That's great to hear.
exactly.
So talk to me a little bit about Vanessa. Talk to me a little bit about the culture in your firm. What kind of culture have you feel like you've established there, and because like family law seems like it can be such an emotionally charged uh,
Yeah,
area of practice, and so I would imagine that there are days where it's a tough day, right? Where there's difficult things that you're dealing with families, whether that maybe someone's trying to adopt, or maybe there's a marriage that's ending. I mean, it's emotionally charged. So talk to me a
yep.
little bit about the culture of your firm and kind of some strategies you put in place to kind of develop what it is.
Yeah, so I like to say that I wanted to build a law firm that I didn't, that I wasn't in when I was an associate. So culture has been a very, very important part of our practice. I try to make sure that We really have what I like to call a lifestyle firm. So this is very much a 9 to 5 type of job. This is not a nights, weekends. We already see a lot of it during the day, and there's very little that a family lawyer can do at 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
If there's an emergency, call 911, call the cops, go to the hospital. Your lawyer's not gonna be able to do much at 10 o'clock at night. So there's no reason to be, communicating with a client at that time, other than, than helping them to process. Do you really want to spend $400 an hour processing? No, you really shouldn't. You should call your therapist. So, so we're very much about, making sure that the work gets done during working hours and not having it sort of, spill over. I also encourage my associates strongly about kind of letting it slide off. We can help our clients, but we have to help them where they are. We didn't create the situation. We didn't choose this partner. We didn't, we didn't have these, kids with this partner. So there's only so much that we can help the situation, and it requires our clients really to be willing to cooperate and to do what we're saying. So if they're not doing that, again, you cannot care more than the clients care. These are their lives.
Right.
So, so that's kind of the thought process with our legal team. With our team as a whole, we have a pretty big presence internationally. About half our team is international. And, we make sure that we are maintaining our culture with regular meetings over Zoom. We meet firm wide 3 times a week on Zoom. And we do something that I don't have a cool name for it, but basically we do nominations every other week. The team, individuals in the team, everybody in the team nominates another team member based on our core values. So, Mary, really was exemplified teamwork this week when she pitched in and she helped, Melissa, who was sick, so it's like a nomination of another team member based on our firm values. And whoever wins that week gets to pick the following week. So that allows it to be that it's not the same people winning.
That's cool.
And then you get a $25 gift card. The nominee, the person who nominates and the person that they nominated gets a $25 gift card. So it's just a kind of like a fun way of, sort of kind of giving kudos to each other
Right.
in a way that reminds them constantly about our firm values. The favorite thing I hear is on a random week, something happens and they're like, I have my nomination for the week. So they really look forward to doing that, to being able to talk up, the team and reminding each other about our firm values.
So you got some
If
shout
you
outs
see,
weekly.
exactly. And
Yeah.
if you see our social media, you will see that we just came back from a team retreat. So we took everybody to the Dominican Republic. We had a couple that couldn't make it, but we had 27 team members in the Dominican Republic. And it's an amazing 4 days where we got to just really get to know each other on a personal level. We talk about the state of the firm, what our goals, our vision, our mission. And we always do a little bit of learning. So that was a really fun 4 days, and we literally just did that and came back last week.
That's awesome. I love that about that you guys have put that into play, the kind of the nomination system. That sounds amazing. We do something similar here, and we have for a while we were doing it daily. We've dropped it down to just a couple of times a week, but our whole team, most of our staff, we're all virtual. We're all over the country. We're based in New Orleans. I'm in the Atlanta area. We've got a good portion of our team in New Orleans, but we have a guy in Kansas City who works for us. We have a guy in India who works for us, a couple of
Yeah.
people in South America who work for us. So it's so important for your team to be able to come together, whether they're in person or whether it's on a Zoom call, but having that connection is so important. And we don't do individual shout outs, but we have everybody come in every morning when we have those meetings, and everybody list a couple of wins that they've had recently, whether it's something related to the business or whether it's something personal, just to keep
Yeah.
things positive. And when there have been times where we've been super busy and we haven't been able to have those meetings, and I'll hear from employees who've been like, hey, when are we having a meeting again? I haven't talked to
We're only
anybody.
talking about our wins.
Yeah, I want to know what's going on. So it's really is super important to kind of build that in. That's I love that you guys are doing that. That sounds amazing. So talk to me about, I love to find out who people have had as like mentors and influencers that have that kind of shaped their core values, whether it's in your firm or whether it's in your life? Are there any mentors or influences that you've had that kind of helped build the practice up and shape your approach to being a business owner?
So yeah, I've actually been involved with a program called How to Manage a Small Law Firm. I don't know if you've heard of it. And I've actually been in it for 8 years. I feel like I'm one of the OGs of the program.
Okay.
And Arjan and Erica and Oscar and Ali, they've been really instrumental in a lot of the lessons that we've taken that have assisted our firm in really growing and building. So I credit most things that we've implemented, including the nominations that came from one of Erica's leadership trainings. So it's it's amazing how, the lessons are, they could really be applied anywhere because it's a business minded lesson, but law firms, a lot of lawyers tend to sort of forget that law firms it's a business. At the end of the day, if I don't make money, I can't feed my kids. And if I can't feed my kids, I'm not going to do it anymore. So they've allowed me and given me a lot of the tools that we've used to be able to really grow and continue to grow the firm into a seven-figure business.
That's awesome. I love it. Very cool. So that's I love hearing about people, the groups that people are in. We work with another company called Eight Figure Firm. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not.
We
Um,
did a figure. We did them for
did
a
you do Eight
year.
Figure?
Lewis is an
Awesome.
incredible attorney and an incredible inspiration.
Yeah, we just we do video content for Lewis, and we just did the conference here in Atlanta last
Yep.
weekend. Luckily, we didn't get washed away
I
by the
had
hurricane.
hoped about I had hoped to come in, but it feels like sometimes timing kind of
For
throws
sure.
things out
You were
and
just
I
getting
was
back
out
from
of
the
town.
Dominican Republic, so yeah, all good. But yeah, we love working with Lewis as well, and we've actually, we've been clients of Eight Figure Firm as well. We're not a law firm, but we've taken a lot of the things that he teaches people and put those into play as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love hearing who people have as mentors. That's always great to hear about. So talk to me a little bit about you've been recognized as one of the top family lawyers in Miami, super lawyer since 2016. I'll have to tell you my experience with super lawyers. It's kind of interesting. But what do you think is the key to long-term success and recognition in the legal field?
I mean, it's doing the good work, right? It's making sure that you are that you're not the kind of attorney that other attorneys are like, oh, I have a case against those people. Because your reputation in the legal community, it's always gonna, you don't want to throw that away for one client because there's 1,000, clients after that, and you have to always be, ethical, and you always have to make sure that that you're working with the other side. There's no point in you don't have to agree. One of my excellent friends is a judge now, and I love it. I had to come before her on something where I was a guardian for a child that was in the foster care system, and normally I don't appear before her. This just happened to be a case I had been appointed on, and in front of the whole court, she says, "I just want everybody to know that I'm very good friends with Miss Vasquez. We've gone on vacation together. I frequently disagree with her, but." But if anybody has any objections to her appearing before me, and everybody's just laughing, so you can absolutely disagree with other amazing attorneys, and you can represent your clients to the best of your ability, and not be a jerk.
Right.
So I try to make sure that that's how I mentor my associates, and that's how I've always carried myself. That you don't want to throw your reputation away. You don't want to throw away the goodwill that you've built with other attorneys and with the judiciary over doing something stupid for a client.
Makes sense. It sounds like I feel like being a family lawyer, empathy is a huge part of
But
being
it's
a
a
part of the
very thin
practice,
line. It's
right?
a very sort of like, thin line between being empathetic, but making sure that your message is getting across. Because you'll have clients that, they you're telling them, if you keep going down this road, the judge has said this is going to happen.
Right.
And they still think, well, no, but I can explain it. Like, Linda, listen, listen, listen. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. The judge is going to take your kid away if you keep this up. So there's being empathetic about the difficulties that, the clients are going through. And,
Right.
and we will give them referrals to therapists that we think might be helpful. And we will encourage them to get therapy for themselves, to get therapy for their kids. But you kind of also, I like to, I like to describe family. One of our values is family, but I like to describe it as not that we are yes people and we'll be like, yes, yes, whatever you want, we'll make this work, we'll make it happen. The way that I describe family is that they always have your back, but they're always going to give you a reality check. Your family is the one that's going to be like, your hair looks like crap. Don't go out like that, but they love you. But they
Right.
love you. So that's the type of family members that we want to be. We want to make sure that we are, caring for you, but also giving you the realistic advice of, hey, the judge is not going to like that. You need to stop that. Or, you're being disrespectful to your ex, and that's going to get you in trouble. Or remind them this is really not in your child's best interest when when you're picking these fights with their mom, that's really not in your kid's best interest. So
I like to call
we
that tough
care,
love. Right.
but we provide you with that tough love and that reality check to make sure that you're not harming yourself and your case with the things you're doing.
So, question for you that's this is a little specific, but I'm always curious when I talk to family lawyers about this because I've gone through divorce with children, and it's no fun, obviously.
Yep.
Do you represent primarily women, or is it a mix? Or I'm just always curious about that.
So it's interesting because our ideal client that we believe we can be most helpful for are men. I actually
Really?
wrote a book called The Florida Man's Guide to Divorce. um, you know, and the reason why I say that is because it is my feeling that women tend to have support networks. They tend
Right.
to seek help. They tend to ask for things, while men tend to sort of hide out. They don't want anybody to know about their divorce until they're divorced. They
Yep.
tend to not seek support, not seek help, try to make the decisions on their own. And so in our representation, we want to make sure that we are giving them what they're not seeking on their own. That being said, my team is 8 female lawyers.
Right. Okay.
So, our vibe really resonates with women because, I mean, out of the 2019 members, I believe we have 5 men and 24 women. So there's a very female-driven energy that I think you can see in our pictures and in our stuff. So that is really attractive to a lot of women as well. So, it's kind of an interesting mix, with our male and female clients.
So when you do have this kind of again goes back to my own experience. When my marriage and I've since remarried and everything's great. Love my wife and we're going on. We just had our 11th anniversary, so things are
Nice.
good. But previous marriage, when things were ending, I was much younger, and like I was so unprepared for what was going to happen afterwards. We had kids, so there was all that going in as well, and I didn't have from the legal side of things. There wasn't a whole lot of follow up after everything was said and done. I'm just curious if that's anything that you guys have built in, or if that's something that you offer as far as like while things are happening, to let them know like, hey, here's some things to expect. Here's what's
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just curious if that's anything that's there that
sure.
you guys
So, I
help
mean,
fathers out with.
so the reality is that almost all cases will settle.
Right.
It is a very expensive thing to take things to trial. And one of the things that I pride myself and my team on doing is that when we are helping you to go through your settlement agreement, your parenting plan, we're not just waiting for you to tell us, well, this is what I want. We go through with you, and this is based on our experience. These are the pitfalls. These are the things that that you should be aware of.
Hmm.
And it's sometimes it's little things that sound good, but then in our experience aren't good. Prime example for me is people love to share. Sharing is caring. And they love to say, well, let's share the holidays. We're going to share Christmas Eve. We're going to, you got the first half, I got the second half. I absolutely detest sharing holidays. And the reason for a big one like that is if you can imagine, I mean, a lot of our clients are Hispanic here in Miami, and big families, big family gatherings on the 24th. And let's say that, that mom has, from noon until 8 p.m. and then dad's going to have 8 p.m. until the next day, something like that. Now you're talking about taking this kid who's probably having a ton of fun with all their cousins, running around the house, making havoc, and be like, we're going to go to dad's house now. And that kid's going to be like,
I don't want to
why?
go. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Especially if dad's house is like, dad and the grandparents and no cousins. So you really set a battle up where, you might take the kid. He's going to arrive super unhappy to dad's house. And dad's going to be like, what'd you do? Why would you tell him? Why is he having a tantrum? Because he's here. Like, and now it becomes a blame game, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just that you thought that sharing was a good idea. So we always encourage people, listen, just alternate. You got New Year's, you got Christmas Eve, they get Christmas Day. Next year you swap. So those are the little things that I think
Yeah.
are, and it's based on experience. It's not based on necessarily just, I mean, it's also based on my experience as a parent. I've got a 16 and 18-year-old. But there's a lot of little things like that where, having done this for so long, I can tell you when school is going to get out for the holiday break for Christmas. Because I've got 15 years of experience with that. I know it's going to always be the Friday before Christmas. And I know they're going to come back 2 weeks later. So I can, so that really influences and informs a lot of the advice that we give our clients, on a lot of things. The right of first refusal. People love to say, well, if they can't be with the kid, then I should get them. Okay, but here's the problem with that. You think you're going to be at the mall for a couple hours, then there's a car accident, then this, and now the other side is like, oh, but you need to call me. You left them with a sitter for, half a day. And so we like to kind of make sure that our clients are understanding what they're signing, understanding what they're getting into, and really understanding, hey, you have to check with your ex on this. You have to make sure that they agree to this. You cannot just, oh, I picked a new school, by the way. Here's where our kid's going to go to school. So that's kind of like what we do. And our clients are able to, we're always willing to schedule courtesy calls with our former clients whenever
Awesome.
a question arises and it's like, she's doing ABC. What can I do about this? They got a 15-minute call with their attorney, to kind of like touch base. And sometimes we'll be like, suck it up. Sometimes we'll be like, that's really bad, document it, and call me if in 6 months it doesn't get better, So that's kind of like what we do to help our clients.
I love it. I love to hear that because, just like I said, speaking from my own experience, a lot of that was missing in my experience, and it's stuff that you learn the hard way. We didn't split the holidays like that. We never did that. But there's other things that just you're not really prepared for when you're going through what is
Yeah.
one of the biggest life altering events that you could
And
possibly have aside from like a death. So
And it's funny, but that's literally what my book is about. The book is not about the process. It's not about like, well, here's what you do, and here's what we file, and here's what's going to happen. I actually gathered a panel of like 10 experts on things that are connected to divorce, but are not actually about divorce. So it's a realtor talking to you about what happens if you got to sell your house. How do you stage your house? What do you need to be thinking about? There's a life coach about this is a big change in your life. These are the things you want to be thinking about.
for sure.
There's a financial advisor to tell you, hey, now that you have half the assets, what should you be doing to recover? A credit specialist. It's a big, when people get divorced, that is a big, it's a big percentage of people who have problems with their credit because somebody stopped paying the credit cards, somebody stopped paying a mortgage or a car payment. So, there's a chapter from our credit expert that talks about what to do if it's already happened, how to try to avoid it if it hasn't happened. So it's all these topics on things that are sort of like really about life, about almost like being an adult, but
Yeah,
the things that you don't always think about because you're getting a divorce and now you're like, I got to deal with, with money, with the kids, with, assets and all that kind of stuff. So I
I
think
could have used
it's a really great resource.
I could have used that book 15 years ago. Tell me what's the name of the book again?
So it is the Florida Man's Guide to Divorce. I think I have a copy around here. Let me see if I find one so I can show you. It's on Amazon.
Okay,
No, I guess I don't have one
that's
on me,
okay.
but I will.
We'll find it on Amazon. And we'll put a link up to it when we put
Awesome.
the
Thank you.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's great.
So
We have it on Kindle for like 99 cents because I
awesome.
really want it to be a resource for people. I
Do you
don't,
think it
it's not
applies?
necessarily
Do you think it applies beyond just Florida? It sounds like there's a lot of things in there that would apply
100%. It
wherever
is
you are.
really, there's no legal advice in it. I talk about what my goals are and what I think people should be seeking to do when they're getting divorced.
Hmm.
But otherwise, the only lawyer is personal injury, and it's really to talk about like what you got to think about if while you were married there was a personal injury claim. Otherwise, there are no other lawyers on it. And I write the intro and and the exit. So really, it's about life. It's really not about the legal process.
Yeah, I
Thank
could have
you.
used that. I definitely could have used that. So let me shift gears a little bit here. I want to talk about talk to me a little bit about the Supreme Scholars Foundation.
Sure. So I lost my little brother in 2020.
I'm
Unfortunately, he
sorry.
was murdered. Thank
Oh
you.
wow.
And my family and I just really wanted to make sure that his memory was honored, not just with the way that he died, but really the way that he lived. He was an amazing young person. He was only 22,
Oh
but
man.
his friends always talked about how he would, uh, go out on a limb for them. He was always checking on them, especially during the beginning of COVID. What I wanted to do and what my family and I did was put together a scholarship. But the thought process behind it was we didn't want to just find like the smartest kids in the room. That wasn't my brother. My brother was very street smart, very technical. He had a marketing company that he was getting off the ground when he passed away. So we really wanted to kind of like almost like find those kids that don't normally get the scholarships. And then the last couple of years, we've actually partnered with Big Brother, Big Sister in Miami, because those tend to be the underprivileged kids who have less resources, whose parents usually can't afford college. And their program, the amazing program that they have there is that they have, they're a, I don't know what it's called, but I guess like a provider or they're somehow connected with prepaid Florida, which is the prepaid college plans that you can purchase for your kids. So they're able to get those plans for the first 2 years of college for
Oh wow.
50% off. So
First
we've
3 years?
actually given, so the first 2 years, the scholarships we've been given are a 2 year college plan for kids that attend school in Florida. So that, that's helped us kind of like take our funds much further, help the kids, with a 2 year scholarship instead of a 1 year for all for everything that they're doing in school. So this last year we were able to give two of them out. I'm hoping that for next year that we can increase that to five.
That's amazing.
Thank
How
you.
does that work? Do you guys do you accept donations for that, or is that all done through the
So we do.
firm?
We do. We've got a website, supremescholarsfoundation.com. We do events regularly. Anybody could, we actually have, because we're a registered 501c3, we, um, we are listed so that we can receive matching funds. So we have an amazing, friend and company that I use for a lot of my events, Cow Chocolates, and his wife works for, I think for Cargill, and we get checks from her from Cargill every month because she has it like on auto deduct and they match the funds and they send us a little check every month. So, so that's something that's available as well.
That's awesome. I love that. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Love the idea of giving back. It's super important for me as well. You got so much going on. It's amazing. I love it. It's very, very cool. So tell me kind of what's next for the firm. Like, where do you see things moving in the next 5, 10 years? What's your vision for down the road for the law firm?
So 5 or 10 years, our vision is to be the largest family-only firm in South Florida. I think we're if not there, we're almost there. I don't know personally any firms that have more than 8 attorneys in the firm.
Yeah,
And the reason why I think that that's important is because um, we have so many people who dabble in family law and are not in it day in and day out. So we get those attorneys sometimes as opposing counsels, and they've sold or told their clients that they can get something that they absolutely cannot get because that's not the law.
right.
So by focusing only on family law, that allows us it's mandatory for my entire team to do the family law conference that's in Orlando every year. It's a 1.5 day, just CLE training with all the newest case law, all the changes, all the updates. And that's because we are so passionate about making sure that we are, a consummate family law advocate. So we're continuing to grow. In 5 or 10 years, I expect that we'll be an 8-figure firm, like Lewis helps to grow. And we started already with some piloting some projects to be able to not only help sort of like the main client that we regularly see, which is a middle class professional divorce, but we started some initiatives to be able to help people who are going through the self-help program here in Miami-Dade, so that they can talk to a lawyer, make sure that they get some legal advice before they start that process. And we're also piloting some flat fee programs for uncontested divorces, again, to help people to have that comfort level that they feel that they can hire an attorney, that it's not going to, because we understand the concern and we have the concern ourselves. How much is this going to cost me?
Right.
I don't know. You're telling me that everything is great, but your wife is trying to get, sole custody. So, so much of the case is really not dependent on what we can do, but it's managing the parties. So ultimately, the having flat fees in family law is kind of the holy grail. I'm not sure I can get there 100%, but my husband is my COO and he's in charge of marketing and operations. And he's like, but I can really sell this. I'm like, I know, but it's so difficult because one case will be 15,000 and another case will be 75,000. But ultimately we feel that there is a market that we can serve of clients that need, that are going to resolve their case with an agreement, but just want to, because we do truly believe that because we're experienced and we know the pitfalls doing the agreements without having a good attorney that can guide you can really steer you wrong. And we've had so many cases that come to us after a final judgment because they did some, agreement on their own. We've seen agreements with custody of a dog, which I would have told you dogs are property, unfortunately, and you can't do a custody agreement. They did it on their own and the judge signed off. And of course, things went wrong. I mean, what a surprise that sharing custody of your dog did not somehow go off the rails.
Oh, it was joint dog custody?
Yes, yes, they were sharing custody of the dog. The dog went to one home for 6 months and the other home for 6 months.
Oh,
Um, we've seen agreements where it's the schedule is we'll agree, but no, but this is where you agree in this agreement, not in the future. And then we'll see one parent gatekeeping the kids. So there's so many pitfalls when people do these things on their own, et cetera. So ultimately, we feel that everybody should be able to consult with an attorney. So we're starting
right.
some projects on our fourth quarter. People tend to think the fourth quarter people don't go to family court, but it's our position that it's because people don't market. So we're trying to make sure that we're continuing to provide those options for people. The marketing campaign that we're going to be rolling out um, in the next couple of days is, do you want to get divorced before the holidays? If this is the last holiday that you want to spend with this person, if you don't want to see your in-laws this Christmas, we can get you divorced before the holidays.
Let me ask. One of the last things I want to ask you about is the uncontested. You mentioned uncontested divorce. So my divorce was uncontested, and my ex hired the attorney. I did not have an attorney representing me,
Yeah.
and like it was a big mistake. Not. I'm just curious. Like, is that so? You don't have to if it's not something you feel like you can answer. But like, do you recommend an uncontested divorce? Like, or if there's
So
going to be an uncontested divorce, should both parties still have representation, I guess?
I always think that everybody should have a lawyer. We are not neutral. So when we do an uncontested divorce, we will warn the other side that we do not represent them and that they should consult with an attorney.
Right.
Because, of course, I'm always going to be advocating for my client. So if
Sure.
you don't know any better, unfortunately, I'm going to try to push the limit as far as it can go on behalf of what my client is looking for. So we do always recommend that both sides have attorneys. It just it puts everybody on that even, on that even footing. Um, we don't do, we will never lie to the other side. We will not we've had people come to us and say, oh, but his attorney said that this is the best that we could do. So we definitely don't lie to you. We will clearly tell you, we do not represent you. We're not giving you any legal advice. This is what we are advocating for our client. So we won't lie to you either, though. But there's
Yeah,
definitely attorneys that take advantage.
that's what I would say as someone who's gone through that is uncontested or not, husband, wife, whichever side you're on, get an attorney for sure. Make sure you have representation. It's definitely something you want to do for sure. So that
Yeah.
is awesome. So Vanessa, thank you for. We're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you for coming on and talking with me. Like I said, I always enjoy speaking with family lawyers just because of my own experience,
Yeah.
and I like to hear when people are, people like you who are advocating for people and trying to help out. I think that's great. Tell the folks out there, that our viewers and our listeners, where they can find you online. Give us
Yeah.
a plug.
Sure. So our website is familylawprotection.com. You can find all the stuff there. If you're looking for us on social media, we're on Facebook, which is Vasquez de Lara, Vasquez de Lara Law Group. We're on Instagram, also Vasquez de Lara Law Group. On TikTok, I am Attorney Vanessa. And LinkedIn, I think you find me under my name, Vanessa Vasquez de Lara.
Awesome. Very good. I'm gonna go follow right now. I am. So, and I love to hear that you guys know Lewis. Lewis we've been working with him for almost 4 years now. So, we love
That's
working with him.
awesome. So
Yeah. So,
he started in how to manage with me. So I got to meet him when he was a managing attorney at a firm. And then I got to see his evolution from leaving there to, opening his own firm, to partnering with Seth,
mhm.
to creating, the amazing thing. And I love Valeria over there.
Oh
She
yeah, we
is
love Val too. Yeah, he's great.
her and my husband, they would do those meetings since he was really the one doing the meetings, because he's our COO. And Valeria is just spitting fire. And it's like, tup, 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 and, going through it. So
He's amazing.
she's an amazing resource working over there with Lewis.
Well, it sounds like you guys are doing amazing things there in Miami as well. So, thank you
Thank
again for
you.
joining us on Spaghetti on the Wall. The show is
Of course.
brought to you by Leduc Entertainment. You need a podcast, you need social media work, hit up Leduc Entertainment, LeducEntertainment.com. We're also on social media. We can help you with whatever you guys out there need with regards to video production, content production, that kind of thing. So, Vanessa, thanks again. I have really enjoyed our conversation, and I can't wait to put this episode out so other people can enjoy it.
Thank you.